about your injury situation? Is Jacob going to play? Anybody else?
Right now, Jacob's day today. He practiced Monday. We were off Tuesday, so we'll see how he feels. You know, if he has any soreness, I'll hold him out. But he had a good practice Monday, and he said he felt great. So we'll see. But I promise I'll be conservative with him if he tells me he's sore at all. But everybody else is fine. But we're all day to day.
And if he does play, I would think he wouldn't play 30 minutes or anything like that.
I hadn't even thought. I'm just worried about today. Just try to get through today, see how he is. He tells me he's fine, so it's good to be young.
So you coming out of that exhibition, you weren't entirely happy. Have you worked on some things? I mean, what do you anticipate from this game, just from you and also from Brown in general?
Well, I'm never happy. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I've noticed it.
Thanks, Phil. But actually, I was happy. Yeah, Sammy's doing excellent in school. I had a conference yesterday. But just trying to get better all the time. You know, as far as us, no matter, you know, we're always you're going to do some things well, some things not well. The season's such a long season. You want to just try to stay healthy and keep getting better. As far as Brown's concerned, you know, the teams like Brown, the three-point shot is always a concern. It's always the great equalizer. When a team could potentially put 5 guys outside the line and shoot threes on you. So they went to SMU last year and gave SMU all they wanted because they made 14 threes. So that's always a concern. They also have a senior point guard that, you know, when you go on the road, you got a guy that can take care of the ball at a place like Cincinnati. It gives you a chance. Blackman's his name. He's very good with the ball. He's got quickness. So, you know, every team poses potential problems. But the three-point shot would be a big concern as far as what Brown brings to the table.
I saw some of the stuff you said about Troy at the meetings, league meetings. How important is it for him to have a big year as a senior and kind of?
Oh, extremely. You got to have guys got to have great years if you don't want to talk about actually winning a conference. You know, the last time we won a conference, we had 2 great players, Justin Jackson and Sean Kilpatrick. And it's got to be postseason awards. So I think Troy's capable of it. I think this year will be a lot different. I think he's got a lot more offensive help than he had the last 2 years, to be really honest about it. I think our team will be able to spread the floor more, which will give him more room to operate. But I think that Kevin and Jacob are much improved. I know Justin is. Jaron Cumberland can really play. So he's got help on the perimeter. But I think we'll be able to spread the floor a little bit more for him. So I don't know about averaging more points, but I think shooting a higher percentage and being more consistent with his performance are things I expect from him, no question about it. But no, that has to happen. For us but really for anybody to have a great year, you got to have a couple of guys have a great year. I mean, it's just, you can only coach so much. So he's more than capable of it. So just, my big thing with him is just continue to try to push him to be great. And, you know, some guys you don't have to worry about that. They think they're great already. You maybe have to explain to them that they're not as great as they think they are. Troy's a guy I've always had to try to push him to be aggressive and to really believe that he can be a great player. That's always been my challenge with him, as well as Gary Clark, to be really honest about it.
What have you liked the most about what happened in the summer and the preseason, the season about to start? What gives you the most hope?
Well, I think guard plays big in college basketball, so I was just talking to John about, I think that we have 5 perimeter players I'm confident in. You know, I really think Kevin is flourishing in our style of play this year. He's really gotten much better at picking and choosing his spots and taking care of the ball. Justin Jennifer is an immensely improved player. I think Jacob's poised, once he gets back in the groove, to have a great year. Troy, obviously, with his preseason accolades, but then Justin Jennifer's improvement I talked about all the offseason. So I think we'll be able to always have 3 perimeter players that are quality players on the floor, guys that can score, guys can handle the ball, pass, make other players better. And it's just that college basketball is a perimeter-dominated game, especially with no 5-second count on the dribbler. You know, those guys can keep using the pick and roll and sharing the ball and spreading the floor and never have to get a 5 count if you choose to play that way.
You've always had a shot blocker in the middle, and you still have Gary Clark, who's a good shot blocker. But is Kyle Washington going to be able to give you that, or is he not that kind of player?
No, Kyle blocks him off the ball just like Gary. What we don't have is the low post stopper. Kyle and Gary can both rotate and block shots. We have a lot of guys that do that. Where Nasir is going to be what Octavius was, where he can just fortify the paint on his own. So we got to do that as a team this year. That's what probably be our biggest defensive difference from this year to last year, where Kyle's a guy, he's very good at rotating and blocking shots, but he's not a true low post center. He's a forward, and he's in every sense of the word. So he can't just fortify the paint defensively by himself like Octavius did for us, or really even Justin, despite his lack of size. He did it his senior year. So Troy and Kevin in particular, I've had to explain to them that we've got to fortify the paint more as a team this year. And make sure that we're getting those guys the help they need. Now, Nasir can do it when he's in there, and he's going to play for us. So, but he's the one guy that, he's big enough, and he understands how to use his size.
I think you mentioned earlier about Kyle. He got into foul trouble in the exhibition game, and you mentioned that as maybe a concern. Is that a big concern of yours?
Oh yeah, big, huge concern. He's got to learn how to pick his spots. With both his fouls and against Bellarmine were over the back fouls. Where, I've said this for years around here, your strength is your weakness. He's a very aggressive player, but you got to know when you can't go over the back going after the ball. I mean, you just can't do it. So you got to be able to stay aggressive, but you got to be smart about your aggression. So guys learn the hard way with that. The greatest teacher in the game is the wood, the pine, and you're sitting over there with 2 fouls all the time. Like I told him, you got to. Faster you learn, the more you're going to play.
Do you, since he had to sit out last year, expect it to take him a while to get back into the flow of things?
I hope not, but I think it probably will, to be honest with you. I throw a lot at the guys early, and then the week before the season, we simplify things and get ready to play games. So this week's been a lot easier for him, just trying to figuring out what he can handle, hitting him with the kitchen, everything in the kitchen sink the first month, and then this week really trying to simplify things for him offensively and defensively to where he's not thinking as much. But yeah, it probably was going to take him a little time, I would think, after sitting out.
That big of a guy who could step out and shoot like that? Here, I don't think you have.
Yeah, not here. Well, I mean, if you wanted to call Marcus Sykes when we played with no big guys 11 years ago.
I thought you didn't want to talk about that.
No, but you had to bring it up.
Is your rebounding a concern at all? I mean, you were out-rebounded in the exhibition.
Shouldn't be, no.
It shouldn't be a concern?
No. That one I can control. Rebounding is a coachable thing. I've always believed that, and we've been good at that every team I've coached. That won't be a problem here. That I can handle. That's a coachable thing. I will say that having Jacob out there is a factor. See, when you're running around with Justin, Troy, 2 point guards, and Kevin, you're not very big. You're going to have Jacob or Jaron out there along with 2 other guys with size. So it'll look a lot different.
On the recruiting front, what was it about Trevor Moore that stood out to you? He kind of was an under-recruited kid, but you guys...
Every time he shot the ball, it went in. Really wasn't a hard evaluation. Trevor's a great kid, which we found out after the fact, or we fell in love with the fact that he made every shot he took. There's no substitute for shooting on the offensive end. He's a guy that he's in scouting reports what we call a can't-leave guy. I mean, you just can't leave Trevor Moore open, or he'll just carve you up. I mean, it's like the other day in practice, the red team was down 10. Jaron Cumberland hits 3 straight threes, and the game's a 1-point game. And I was making both teams work on playing zone to get ready in case the other team plays a zone. But still, I mean, the three-point shot is huge in our game today. That, and then the more I watch Trevor, he's a tough defender. He's just a tremendous kid. He's one of the best kids you'll ever meet. He was an easy one. Just very fortunate that we were able to get him before everybody else figured out how good he was. Fortunately, he played a lot of football in his first 3 years in high school, playing quarterback. So once he started focusing on basketball, his game really took off.
How about Ellie?
Oh, Ellie's a big recruit for us. Whenever you find a 6'9" guy with the wingspan that Ellie has, that has a high motor, he's got great quickness for a 6'9" guy. It's really hard to find 6'9" human beings, especially in Cincinnati. So very few of those. So then to find a guy that is as quick as he is. I mean, he's got great quickness for a 6'9" guy to be able to, whether it's on the offensive end, the way he can roll off the pick and roll, the way he runs the floor, and the energy level he plays with. He's got a tremendous motor for a basketball player. That's a huge thing, especially for a big guy. To be able to use your size and athleticism, you got to have the motor to run around and use it. He's got a great passion for the game. That's one thing that both of those guys have great passion for the game of basketball. Something, the more selective older you get, and the more selective you get in recruiting, I think it's an underrated thing to recruit guy. I think people say, well, why wouldn't guys? Everybody doesn't love basketball. Some guys play because of their height. They play because they're supposed to. Those guys really love the game. And the best example I can give you on Ellie is that he speaks 4 languages. English wasn't one of them until he came to Canada. And he talks more than anybody on his team while he's playing. And he only knew about 20 English words. So that tells you how passionate he was about the game. And when I saw him in Las Vegas and they got eliminated in the summertime, you thought the guy lost a national championship. But to him it was. I mean, he doesn't know. I mean, he's from Kinshasa. So, he had never played basketball with shoes on up until about 18 months ago. He had never played basketball indoors up until about 18 months ago. And he had never played basketball where there were nets on the baskets. So he's a special guy, so we're excited to have him. He's had a tremendous journey. He'd be a great story for everybody to cover someday.
Hey, Gary, if you would talk a little bit about you've done it before, but the expectations for this team this year.
Well, you just have to look at the experience that we had from the guys from last year returning. So the expectations are, set really high for us and coach. Just looking later in the season, just not wanting to just get to the tournament, but advance further and deeper. And as a group collectively, we have so much to work on. But we still have those goals of conference, winning a conference tournament, winning a regular season conference. But it all starts with what we do now. Learning all our details and our small things to make sure that we're executing early so that later we're prepared for those obstacles that come at us.
A game like these early season games, you're favored, to win a lot of them. How do you guys prepare for that? Go ahead.
Coach, he is on us early about the reason why we play these teams, because these teams aren't coming in afraid to play us. These teams are going to give us their best shot, and any night can be the night that we're not ready to play or whatever the case may be. So in practice before games, we're drilling to the younger guys how much it is important for us to be prepared in the little things that are between losing and winning. So we have Brown coming in here Friday, and it's our opener. So they don't care that it's on our opener. We just got to prepare to the best of our abilities. From our coaching staff to really be ready and get the job done Friday.
Coach said they have 5 guys that can line up behind the arc and shoot the 3. What do you do to defend that?
Just a scout report. All these next couple of days leading up to the game. Just, because on our team we have a lot of guys that can shoot. So really communicating defensively you know, not overhelping, not sinking too deep defensively, you know, just really knowing where your men are, don't lose sight of them so that, you know, you're not surprised when the ball is swung from left to right. So, you know, really communication is key when you're playing a team that all 5 guys can shoot, because, you know, your 5-man can't run all the way to the paint and transition and his man stops at the 3-point line. So really communicating with everyone being on the same page as far as who's guarding who, don't get beat off the dribble, and so forth.
How huge is it, Gary, that Troy lead you guys, you know, just be the leader of this team this year and have a huge season?
It's big because he's the most vocal guy and he's most impactful when he speaks amongst the group. So for him to, you know, be that leader for us, we're going to need him to talk because he's been in the fire for this is last year. So, you know, he's here with SK and those guys when they had their incredible run in the beginning of the season. So he knows what those leaders are like that, you know, that's been under Coach Cronin. So, you know, he's been doing a great job so far. So we just, you know, all the guys look to him for, you know, questions about how hard it'll be against like UConn and those guys there defensively. You know, when a guy does something wrong, he quick to let him know that's not going to work. You know, and coach is always looking to tell Troy, like, tell him, like, it's not going to work. It's not going to be that easy.
How much more have you noticed that this team is able to run the ball, kind of move the ball a little bit quicker, maybe more than in the past couple years, or have you noticed it at all?
Yeah, we've been working on it since, you know, this summer. As far as like 5 guys being able to dribble, pass, and make the right plays, you know, not so much that we got 2 low guys that are posting up that we, you know, kind of got to run and get the ball from at times. We still have to do it, you know, every now and then. But, you know, the spacing and the ability for everyone to be a threat outside the line and at all times when they catch the ball is huge. It's actually, you know, at times we really can see that it's really a problem for us to guard when we're playing in practice. And when we played Bellarmine the other day, you really see firsthand where there's 5 guys that can put it on the ground and pass and move, that, you know, it's a problem for other teams that don't communicate.
Do you find it's more fun to play that way? You guys have more fun?
Oh yeah, it's way much fun because, you know, you're not forced to go to certain spots on the floor. You just you're reading everyone. You know, you're reading your guy. You're watching, and it's a lot of observing, and, you know, really have to pay attention and communicate.
I feel like these guys on the team now, they're basketball minds. They understand, you know, where to be and where to go, and that's why they're able to run on the floor like that.
Yeah, we still have a long way to go, but we've gotten so far from the summer. You know, Coach constantly reminding us that you got the 2 best things to use on the court is your eyes and your mouth. And, you know, using those will make the game so much easier. So these group of guys have really paid attention and listened to Coach, and everyone's starting to make those reads and plays that coaches, you know, has talked about in the summer.
And as you talked about it all, maybe not taking the first shot, a quick shot right away. I mean, with this kind of offense, it might be difficult because you're obviously moving the ball quicker, so you're getting open quicker. But as he talked about, you know, not taking those quick shots all the time.
Yeah, he always talks about the team with the most possessions will win. So every possession, you know, counts. So on the first side, you can't fire up a shot just because you're semi-open. You know, and some of our drills that we're doing, you know, it's set up to, you know, sometimes the guy is open, but, you know, you got to make that read. Should he take it, or is it, you know, 24 or 25 seconds in the shot clock? So, you know, we had a practice where he's really on us about not trying to score like on the first side of the floor, and so making the defense move left to right a little bit more. So once we really start listening to that, we start breaking the defense down, and it got a lot easier.